change. No, madam, this type of bag. This one's how much? Yes, big one. Madam, who they sell market? What do you want? Okay, I'm not doing Mr. Chef. Mr. Chef. How much? I'm not doing for you. You don't do that. I'm not doing for you. I said I'm not doing for you. Since you are not you want this. I don't want the chicken or the beef I want. You are very ungrateful and you suffer for me. Change.
That was here no reason for that. Person going to tell you something here.
Okay, so hello everyone. So my day was so productive. I went to the market with the kid just to get some mulching materials. And in fact, the whole day, I'm just so happy that I finally got what I wanted, because we had to spend hours waiting for the truck of vegetables to arrive so that I could get the mulching materials that I always get from that particular market. Well, eventually it did, but we spent hours waiting for that truck to arrive. So for those who are new to the term mulch simply means anything, any material that you use to cover the surface of the soil after planting. I mean, it's so necessary. Like over the years, I've been a huge advocate of mulch. Like after planting, you just need to mulch. But there was something I did this year. This year, I told myself that I need to just try out something, because I also noticed that even though it had its major advantage, there were also disadvantages. So I just wanted, so the beginning of this year, I told myself, okay, just pause, take a break on anything that has to do with mulching. So I did not only do that in my garden, I also did it in my client's garden. So, but after my observation, I realized that I still want to mulch my garden, but I will discuss that later. So, but let me show you guys what I got from the market today. So this is the mulching material we got from the market today. Initially when we arrived, so most times when we go, I always see what I found. Habanero pepper. So back to the main thing. So what happened was that they have days where they bring in goods like vegetables like cabbage, tomatoes. Well, so we went to the market quite early. In fact, when my worker was taking forever to show up for us to go to the market together, I was like, oh my gosh, we're running late. But because other times we leave by 8 or we leave by 7, and then we get there. It took a while, and then he showed up, and in my head I'm like, oh my gosh, we're running late. I hope that we will be able to meet up before they pack all these things out. This is what they use to preserve, because they bring these things from the north and it is really far from River State. So this is what they use to preserve it, to cool it down so that it doesn't get whatever it is that they're bringing, the perishables that they're bringing in to sell, doesn't get spoiled before they get here. So now, normally they would throw this away, but people like me, over the years, I've been going there and picking up this trash and using it in my garden. This is gold for me. We got to the market and they were not there. I mean, okay, there was a truck coming in, but then it did not have this grass. So we had to wait, because of course it's not just one truck that would arrive. So we had to wait for the second and then the third, so we waited and waited. We got there like 10 a.m. or was it 2:10 or 9:45? Yeah, around that time. So we got there like 10 a.m. and then we had to wait. I was already losing my mind, because I went there with my kid, because I always go to these places with my kid so that she would have experiences. I just don't want her to I just want her to always experience things with me, so that she would have tales to tell every time that she gets back to school. Anyway, so the truck eventually arrived, and then we had to wait again for them to offload so that we can get this grass. And then we eventually got the the grass, and I am super happy because not only my garden will not only be getting this bag of goodies, all my clients' garden will be getting this bag of goodies. And this is okay. So let's talk about the advantage and the disadvantages of mulching your garden. I was doing an experiment this year and I realized that I still want to mulch my garden. Someone was kind enough to give us a chair and a shade for us to sit and wait while my worker did all the job. Oh my God, David is so strong. He's so hardworking. Anyway, so he did all the work of packing all the grasses and bagging them. I had some bags with me, but then I had to buy some extra bags as well, like big bags as well. So let's go and talk about the usefulness of mulch in the garden. Okay, right here I have used, this is one of my favorite mulching materials. This is a neem leaf, aka dogoyaro leaves. So I have a tree, a very small tree in my garden. So every month or so, it just gives me enough to mulch an area, a very small area. So so it's not enough for me. So I always have to go the extra mile to look for mulching material. Let's mulch these plants that has not been mulched, and even though it's growing beautifully, this is one of the reasons why I stopped mulching this year. I told myself, you know what, I'm going to hold on mulching my plants this year and just see the difference between mulching and not mulching. So I noticed that every time it rains, it splashes on the soil, will splash on the plants, and then it can also breed some pests. It can serve as a home to some pests. So now let me show you how I mulch my garden. I mulch my plants. So I'll just raise this up and fix the mulch over there. So what it does is it doesn't let the soil dry out, right? It keeps the soil moist. So the advantages are, it makes your garden look organized. It suppresses weeds, like you do not have to weed all the time. It suppresses weeds. It retains moisture, and then it retains moisture. It doesn't let the soil dry out. And then as it decomposes, it adds nutrients to your soil and is likely to prevent your plants from having any disease. When it rains, the rain doesn't splash on the soil and then splash on your plants, at the back of your plants. Now look at this one. Look at what I'm talking about. This was the plants that we didn't mulch, that I just mulched. So now this can attract diseases to your plant. So that's what it does. And then it just keeps your garden organized, makes your garden look pretty. So there are so many benefits to mulching. Then the disadvantage is it can serve as a home to so many pests like caterpillars, and it can suffocate your young seedlings. Another big disadvantage of mulching your garden is if you do not know how the farm you're getting your mulch material grow their food. If they spray harmful pesticide on these grasses or whatever material that you're using, then you are at risk. Your health is at risk, because obviously I'm hoping that one of the reasons why people grow their food is so that they can grow organic, so that they can control what they consume. So if you're going to be collecting grasses from any lawn, be sure that the lawn is not being sprayed with harmful pesticides, harmful chemicals. So that's one of the disadvantages. So that's why I always rely on materials that I am sure of. And what's the point of growing your food if you are not going to grow as natural as possible? So this is a typical example. Now that the sun is heavy on this plant, it is protecting the soil from drying out. So instead of the soil to dry out, what will happen is the mulch material will start to dry up, like how you've seen, like this now, and then it prevents the soil from drying out. It retains moisture and prevents the soil from drying out. That's one of the benefits of using mulch in your garden. The plants love it. You may want to know some of the things that you can use as mulch in your garden. So there are different things that you can use as long as they decompose. So they have, in my opinion though, so they have, you can use any dry grass, you can use any green grass, as long as it doesn't have any roots, because we do not want these grasses to start sprouting once you use them to mulch. So something like this, right? I think this is a straw. If you have a lawn, when you mow your lawn, you can use the grasses to mulch your garden. Just be sure that you do not, just be sure that your gardener or whoever is taking care of your lawn doesn't spray your lawn with any harmful pesticide. So you can use, some people use newspaper, some use wood shavings or sawdust, although I do not advise, I do not like the use of sawdust. I wouldn't use sawdust as a mulching material. Yes, at one point in my gardening journey I did, but then through experience I realized that as it decomposes, it needs the nitrogen in the soil to decompose, so it sucks up nitrogen. Leafy vegetables like this that need nitrogen to grow will have to suffer for it. So that's why I do not use sawdust. So just use materials that will easily decompose, so that you get the nutrients right back into the soil as it decomposes, right? Yeah. So will I continue to mulch? Absolutely. Like, that's why I went to the market to get all those bags of mulch. I will continue to mulch, and now I have seen that the advantages outweighs the disadvantages. So I am mulching.